Happy Friday. Welcome back to the Jesse Rucinski show. And I'm sure you guys have seen some of the interesting things that have come out in recent days, like this whole entire week. Like it's just one thing after another, which they seem to do a lot of. Uh, you know, uh, yeah, I'm not surprised by either. It's just one pisses me off way more than the other one, just because, the effect that this certain topic, has had to my friends, family, and people that were closer to me than most of my own family. And just the lack of give a damn that comes from anyone like on the other side just keeps proving my point. And I didn't even try to start an argument this time. I was like, you believe this? And then I got told I was being trivial because it doesn't directly affect you. It's like, but if you, it actually really does. If you think about it, and affects the whole country if you give a damn about someone besides yourself, which is very hard for some people to do, sadly. Maybe I just care too much. This is probably really hard for a lot of people to believe that I can actually care about other human beings too much. Never really been my strong suit to care about, at least no one thinks it as my strong suit to care about others. There, I'll put it that way. That's a much better way of putting it. But I really, really do. And these things irritate the hell out of me. But again, really the first one, yeah. It's not as angering to me as the second one, because we've already seen them do this. But again, two topics being discussed today because they're just both absurd and it's Friday. So why not just get an exponential amount of stupid out of the way before the weekend comes? First one's going to be the Department of Homeland Security saying anyone that questions the government's COVID-19 protocols regarding mandates and restrictions are creating there's some air quotes if you're listening, heightened threat environment, and that false or misleading narratives about COVID-19 are fueling terrorism. So now pretty much any information that doesn't come from them or doesn't follow their narrative, no matter who it's coming from, whether it's actual like other doctors that have researched this stuff and know anything, no matter what other countries say, like no matter what, if it's not directly like their narrative, it's misinformation and it's fueling terrorism, which again, I mean, at least if you don't follow their narrative, we always said they treat us like terrorists. Now, at least the memo came out this week, that we really actually are, which is kind of amazing. Again, look what they did to parents that were speaking at like PTA meetings, so we all saw it coming, but at least they finally admitted it. I mean, but believe it or not, there's a lot of people around the world that are doctors have studied this stuff that have different views than just what you guys say needs to keep happening. Just the way it is. I'm going to get yelled at for this one, but second thing we're going to hit after all that is DOJ and others mulling the option to give out $30 million for safe injection sites or safe havens for people to safely use drugs like heroin and crack with alleged safeguards in place in the case of overdoses and not being thrown into jail and such for using the drugs. And we've seen Jen Psaki, we've seen a lot of people like the mainstream media like losing their mind on air about it, saying that know what they're doing, but like I normally do, there are several sources, but a bunch of this is coming from like ABC News and stuff, which is liberal and progressive AF, and it was coming from them from this week. So they're really actually doing it like it's a real thing, no matter what the talking heads tell you. The reporting, even from them, from the DOJ and everywhere, is saying contrary to what that devil woman said. Jen Psaki, what can I say? There's just something about her. But yeah, I got all the information, that they're all saying is false directly from them to give you guys today, coming out of their mouths. I'm just the vessel regurgitating their sputum and their words, but as they say, it's not happening and that we're all crazy. It is. And again, I don't think any of us are really surprised by these things. It's what they do. I mean, look what they said since, before January 6th about, people on the other side for years, what they call Trump voters and everything. Like there's all kinds of stuff they call it, and they continue to do it. It's just now they're in power, so they can keep calling us even worse things. Well, I'm not really surprised. I mean, look at the way they went after parents at PTA meetings. Like, it's just what they do. Look at all the crimes, and how long some people from like that literally just got charged with like trespassing, for January 6th that are still in jail now, and people are like lighting things on fire, burning them to the ground are completely okay. But January 6th is terrorism. Parents PTA meetings getting arrested is bad thing, but no cash bail for people that are torching buildings and stuff. Like it's, and no matter what anyone says, we've all seen it. We all pay attention because we have news sources outside of the narrative, and they are out there, far and few between, but there are really good ones out there, and that's where I get my information. But without further ado, I said we get into the first topic, which again doesn't affect me directly, so it's trivial apparently. But DHS and any false, misleading, anything kind of stuff they don't agree with is now considered like as fanning the flames of terrorism. And I mean, this started really, I mean, it's been going on for forever, but look how big it got during, Joe Rogan. And he had the guy that like invented what they're using for all these experimental therapies, treatments, vaccines, whatever they want to call the damn things today. Like he's the one that invented what they're using to do it. And somehow his information is misinformation. Like it doesn't make any sense, but people like that, and we've seen it blowing up, and he keeps standing his ground. People keep standing with him, so they're just continuing to attack Joe Rogan. But I think that's doing this now makes it easier for them to attack all kinds of people. So Monday, Department of Homeland Security said that a proliferation of false or misleading narratives on COVID-19 is contributing to an increased threat of terrorism and violence. I like miss the days when people called like when actual terrorism was called terrorism. Just saying. They miss those days when terrorism was terrorism. Not just everything that they goes against their narrative is considered terrorism, and they were calling people that voted for Trump domestic terrorists for a very long time. We all heard it throughout the years, a million sound bites of it. And the other, I mean, now under Biden, they're putting out actual memos about this stuff. And let's get some of them. I mean, Monday again, they also sent out a terrorism advisory bulletin warning of a heightened threat environment fueled by false or misleading narratives and conspiracy theories that are spread online and undermining public trust in government institutions. Bulletin also cited calls for violence and threats from outside terror groups. Who are wanting retaliation against us, here at the homeland for things we did in other places. And it's amazing how they link those together. And when it comes to, undermining the public trust in government institutions, like, have anyone seen, like, we're over a year into, Biden's term, we're entering our third full, start of the third year of COVID. And look at everything that's gotten wrong. Or all the times they've been lied to. Don't wear masks, even though you need masks. We don't need you hoarding masks. Medical people can get masks. There's just been, the new variants, and the numbers are just cataclysmic. Like there's just been so much idiocy. And for the first year of COVID, I'm pretty sure President Biden, Kamala Harris, and all of them said that they wouldn't be taking a Trump vaccine because they didn't, trust it. And yet here we are now. Like they went a whole year talking about it, and now it's all of our fault for not liking it. But the bulletin also stated that the United States remains in a heightened threat environment fueled by several factors, including an online environment filled with false or misleading narratives and conspiracy theories, and other forms of mis, dis, and malinformation. Has an acronym, which I swear someone said was racist last year, MAL, introduced and or amplified by foreign and domestic threat actors. Again, we all know there's cells everywhere. They're here, and retaliation, they tend to like to do it. They've been threatening it for years. But also states, For example, there's widespread online proliferation of false or misleading narratives regarding unsubstantiated widespread election fraud and COVID-19 grievances associated with these themes inspired violent extremist attacks during 2021. Just reading how they wrote it. Malign foreign powers have and continue to amplify these false or misleading narratives in efforts to damage the United States. And when it comes to that, no matter what the narratives are, no matter what the topic is, they do that. Look at, everything like Russia doing stuff and getting bots on Facebook, all kinds of stuff during elections and other times trying to get us. All the recruitment for extremists overseas, like it's what they do. They always have. And we're talking about, widespread election fraud, like, and they're still throwing that in there. Like, what the hell did they call for what, 40 years? And I think Hillary's still saying the election was stolen from her by, Putin and all that, even though it's very clearly been stated and confirmed that the dossier was dirty. It wasn't confirmed. It was paid for by, Hillary and the DNC. Like, all these things came out, and yet they ran on it forever and ever. So I'm really getting tired of the people that, pushed all of that now being the ones to jump on everyone's, back for saying anything that they just don't like. It doesn't fit what they want. I'm really over that fact. It's been a very long time. And, they're still, again, running on that narrative, which has been like unsubstantiated. Oh, it's been substantiated. Like, we know how it actually went. If you have any integrity in your body, you'll actually listen and read and know all the things that happened with all that. But them still throwing that in there and mixing it in with foreign threats to our country is just amazing. But that's what foreign powers do, especially with the internet and social media and all sorts of things. It makes it so much easier for them to be able to do stuff like that, because they could just get here, there, and everywhere, and they could literally weasel their way into everything, whether it's social media or websites or any kind of stuff. And they could do it really easy, again, because of all the social medias and all the places they could just stick themselves in. And it happens all the time. There's been a lot worse things going on than I haven't heard anything about. You still hear election fraud every once in a while, but I mostly hear it off the lefties because they just keep on going on that, talking about that like that's one of their talking points, just like January 6th, even though all these things are going on, and even though they ran on it for years. But one last one from them was the proliferation of false or misleading narratives which sow discord or undermine public trust in U.S. government institutions is a key factor in the current heightened threat environment. Again, people lost faith in the U.S. in the government and institutions forever ago, and they really lost faith in the institutions when it comes to COVID a very long time ago. Like, you can't change the narrative and the rules, and the rule for thee but not for me during all of it. People getting their hair done, people going to restaurants, people doing all these things where people are actually struggling. Like, you can't keep doing all of that. You can't say kids can't go to school without a mask because it's going to kill everybody in the same state where Super Bowl is about to be rammed into a building, people on top of each other, lots of people fit in that building. They're getting ready to do that like it's nothing. People seeing stuff like that is really what's making all of this happen and all of this so much worse. And it's just so like clear as day. And yet people are just like, their minds are blown. And I don't understand how it's physically possible to have your head that far buried up in there when it's that clear as day. But and blaming it all on false or misleading narratives. Like when, again, they've run them for forever. They're saying that you can't do anything without them. Yeah. If kids in school without masks can't do this, can't do that, can't do the other thing. Well, they were doing it all. And when they're about to hold the Super Bowl inside, SoFi Stadium, there in the same place doing that stuff. And because, oh, people weren't like, they'll be wearing masks, they'll be doing this, that, and that. But, they're all still going to be right on top of each other. Like, it's just, you can't have it both ways, because having it both ways and trying to have it both ways is what got us into this useless, stupid, obnoxious, egregious, mind-alteringly dumb situation that we are in anyway. We've been in it for a while. I mean, the first little bit you get it, but when you're obviously seeing things that are happening and other things are happening when it comes to again, Super Bowl, schools, like all kinds of things people are doing, like it's what gets us in this situation. And it's also amazing that people that are saying anything that they consider misinformation, anything, are linked together now. COVID-19 misinformation and misleading and malinformation and all the other dis and malinformation, misleading narratives, all that on COVID-19 is now linked together with foreign entities calling for retaliation on the US. Like now they're one in the same as anything, which, again, we've seen what they've been doing to people since they got into power, whether it's parents or anything else. So we all saw it coming, but I do find it actually kind of terrifying that they have them linked together. And again, anyone can argue this all they want. The Fed sent out the memo about parents at PTA meetings. And people argue that it's like all okay as long as they're on that side, because they're just so deep into it. And I don't understand how it's physically possible. But yeah, we're all linked into all kinds of crazy stuff. And a lot of the stuff they're claiming is misinformation stuff that's like been proven in other countries by studies, people that got, that variant before it made its way here. Or, that misinformation, air quotes there too, later becomes actual information, it gets proven to be true after they get more stuff. And, like threatening people and putting out all these things, it's not going to help anyone. It's just going to keep pissing people off. And I don't see what the point of it is, but I mean, like, no matter what this guy said, it was misinformation, regardless, to include, getting vaccines. Everyone's saying they wouldn't trust because it's a Trump vaccine, even though they all got it after they won the election anyway. Like everything he said was bad, but people like him, there's Joe Biden, President Biden, whatever you want to call him, even like said that he wouldn't get and wouldn't trust the Trump vaccine, like on the debate stage. Like that's, not that no one after him for misinformation. So, like, and it's science. Science has different views and different, everything. There's two sides. I mean, it's never ending. It's always evolving. That's what science is. It's not just my way or the highway, and that's it. Like that's not science. That's actual like misinformation, and they're just spreading the stuff. Manure. There you go. I mean, it's propaganda. It's whatever you want to call it. But I mean, just saying this is it. It's either our way or the highway, and it's all misinformation. We'll get no one anywhere. It got us where we are now. So, it's a damn shame, but hopefully we can get back to where, things are evolving and people, can have actual different scientific based like theories on it and not just get shut down as misinformation because they don't follow the narrative, because that doesn't help anyone. Anyone that knows science literally knows it's not how science works. Like it keeps evolving. It's always going. And it's not my way or the highway, especially viruses and stuff like that. Like those things mutate all the time. I think we haven't been able to get a hold on the flu with all the, everything they have, flu shot that everyone, because we don't know which ones, strains are going to be strong for the year prevalence. So they just, like it, what it is, but the science is going to keep evolving. The virus is going to keep evolving. Like, just stop calling everything that you don't like misinformation and just follow the CDC. And then all these states are pulling their mask stuff. They know they're not following the CDC. Like it's so dumb, and it keeps changing their mind, and everyone keeps misspeaking and changing their statement every other day, and that's just what got us where we are. But now to move on to the thing that really pissed me off, in case no one didn't know, I got right there. Yeah, so important. He's on my arm, but he OD'd from drugs. So this one I take, this one I take beyond personally. $30 million for safe places for people to do drugs. And no matter how much people have argued with me, no matter how much people want to go on and on, Jen Psaki, all the want to go on, that's not true. I'm citing reports came from ABC News, and there's stuff from CNN. I can have confirmed it with other ones, but this is stuff that actually came from the people that said it's not happening, even though it's them reporting that it's happening. Just to stick it to them, as I'm tired of it. I'm tired of getting my head bit off. I'm tired of getting told that it's trivial because it doesn't affect me directly, for taxpayer dollars to be going towards safe havens for people who do drugs and keep them alive, and crack pipes and syringes and other paraphernalia and stuff. Guess what? I mean, this is them reporting it straight from that. It's a real thing, and it's trivial because it doesn't affect me. Well, it's your taxpayer dollars, so it doesn't affect you. How about, as it's your money and you're paying for it? How about my argument is you go down to the square, find a junkie, and buy them their next hit. Well, that's what you're doing now. And the money is going so these people can do drugs. And if they die, they get brought back to life, which is not what I have a problem with. I just don't think that this is the solution, but I will get to that after I go through all this stupidity. They are considering, DOJ is allowing sites for allowing safe havens to take the drug safely and with people there to help prevent a fatal overdose and death, which we hit over 100,000 for the first time ever last year, and the numbers going up. So I mean, again, preventing deaths, that's, I'm not complaining about that. I'll never complain about that. I've known a lot of people that have, and a lot of people's lives have been ruined by drugs, and, finally saw the light, but it took them losing everything and almost dying, so I'm not against, death at all, just so everyone knows. But when asked, the DOJ said that they were evaluating such facilities and talking to regulators about certain appropriate guardrails on these facilities. And this is the first time under AG Garland, Merrick Garland, that guy right there on the screen, if you're watching this. I don't know how I can make that any better. It's just his blinding face, I suppose. But since he has come into office, that they're making a public statement, anything on this subject and doing it. So it's picking up steam if we're at least getting there. And it my theory is you're the attorney general, there's a lot laws and precedents, so follow them. Don't just and then we no, there's a law, you swore to uphold it and enforce it. Do it for once in this whole entire thing. But that guy there, Merrick Garland, at least made a statement. So, I mean, I don't know how it's going to go, but I think he should just enforce the law as it is and not just reinterpret everything like a lot of people are doing. That's just me. But in a statement to the Associated Press, although we cannot comment on pending litigation, the department is evaluating supervised consumption sites, including discussions with state and local regulators about appropriate guardrails for such sites as part of an overall approach to harm reduction and public safety. Which means if you can keep them alive, yes, but harm reduction by giving them a safe place to do drugs and keep them sick, I just can't agree with that. And the Justice Department did win a case in Philly last year when a federal appeals court ruled opening such facility would violate the 1980s air drug law aimed at crack houses, put some quotes around that phrase, I do reckon, which bans operating a place for taking illegal drugs. And in October, the United States Supreme Court declined to take the case. So that should tell you the precedent on doing it, because it is, on the books. And, no matter what you want to call it, it's places where people are breaking the law after buying drugs, which, against the law, from people that were selling drugs, which is against the law. It's just and they'll be able to buy more and go somewhere and take it. And they know they're not going to die because there's going to be, it's just, Like, are you understanding the ball of wax that is, like this thing's rolling down the hill? You know, at least that's my you know thing on it. And I will also say about them doing this that I do know there are several countries in Europe and like Australia, Canada, and some places that have had unofficial ones in the States. We will get to that. Um, Running things like that to give people safe places to do drugs. And of all people, they never thought you'd see this guy's face pop up on the screen, me say anything nice about, Russell Brand, especially if you ever knew me back when he was just, he was doing MTV Movie Awards, and I was like, who the hell? I wasn't very keen on him, but he has done several documentaries about, his addiction and getting over his addiction and how he got over the addiction. And he's done, he got his podcast. He does a lot of things to talk about how he stays out of there and that he does go to facilities like this in Europe. Yeah, in these documentaries, and he goes to a lot of things. So if you haven't seen them, I recommend them. You get a glimpse just to see what it's like and all of that, from the medical side, the government side, the drug users, addict side. Like, it gives you all, you just get to see all of it. And I didn't think they sucked. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think they're on Netflix anymore. I'm pretty sure they're available on Amazon Prime. So if you haven't, I'd say like make sure you go and see them because they're really, really, really good. And it really opens up your eyes to everything that was going on in those, in this whole theory and the idea behind it all, and all of that. It really, like, it opens everything up for you and gives you a big perspective on everything. But that guy, his documentaries, I do, as much as I used to talk so terribly, I just looked at him, who's that dirty freaking weirdo? But it was really, really good. I will put the name of those documentaries out there for you people so you guys can see them if you want to, or you could just message me and be like, hey, I would like to watch them. What are they called? And I can be like, boom, here you go. Here's your sign. I mean, again, you don't have to, be a big fan of him, because trust me, like back then I wasn't. I just looked at him and, just hurt my head, and I didn't think he was funny. I didn't think a lot of things, but his two are From Addiction to Recovery and End the Drug War. Again, I believe they're on Prime Video, and I do recommend it. Like, again, they're really good, and they show you like an inside at everything that they're trying to do now with these facilities if they do them, so you can actually like see it and get a grasp on it. But I don't know if anyone heard of them. I know they're happening, and he's, again, gives you what it shows you, opens the door a little bit, cracks it open for you to see what's going on with it. And there's several places that have been opened in the United States that are official. There are also unofficial ones, but the first two official sites opened up in November in New York City and are called overdose prevention centers. And there have been several unofficial sites open across the U.S. and cities, like, big cities like San Francisco, for example, has them. It's coming from someone that lived there and was in the area. So yes, they are there. They do that. Facilities like, give a place for users to partake with staffers and supplies on hand to reverse overdoses. So far, the New York City facilities have intervened in over 125 overdoses among their more than 640 users many of them have been repeat visitors, and that information is coming from the organization that runs these two facilities, which is called On Point NYC. Their executive director, Sam Rivera, states, I believe they're going to land in the right place here and we'll be able to together really expand. Excuse me. There he is on the screen if you're watching this, but really expand on his health initiative that's saving lives every day. Former Mayor Bill de Blasio, we all know how much I love Bill de Blasio, but opened the facilities and believes the federal statute is aimed at drug trafficking and not medical facilities, which is what he characterizes the consumption sites as. Again, though, like taking the drug is illegal, buying the drug is illegal, selling the drug is illegal, getting the drug there, so transporting it is illegal. Like there's a million laws broken before we get to this site. But I will get, it just hurts my head, but I will get to, all of that after I'm done with all this. But there's a lot of people involved that have a lot of things to say. But in a way, like it's one of those fine-edged swords where no matter what you think about it, I mean, is it, how do you characterize it? I mean, technically there has to be drug trafficking and buying and selling and all kinds of things to get to there to do it. So, I mean, it's one of those, it's like incentivizing the selling of drugs, but not, it's really, again, weird, slippery slope to me. That's the way I see it. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but U.S. Representative Nicole Maliotakis of New York, Republican, has stated that it was imperative that AG Garland enforce the legal precedent, which I agree with. And also, instead of stopping the deadly drug streaming over our border, putting drug dealers behind bars and helping people receiving the long-term treatment they need to overcome addiction, Democrat leadership is enabling illegal drug use. And well, how do you disagree with that statement? Really, I mean, it's like I said, like there's so many things that have to get in line and happen before we even get to this facility, which, people are still going to be able to buy the drugs. They're still going to be coming over. They're still going to be doing all kinds of illegal things. So then get there to do an illegal thing there where you're going to keep them alive if they overdose from doing an illegal thing. It really is just enabling their bad habits. It's not fixing anything. It's not making anything better. It's not going to make anything, but like, it's like, you can't argue with me. Like you actually physically can, if you'd like to. I mean, I'm up for a good argument. It's been a while. I haven't argued with anyone in a while, but I could if you want. Like, I mean, my stuff all comes off of logicness, not calling people trivial. If it doesn't bother you, well, it's going to be coming from the taxpayer dollars. People shouldn't be paying for other people to have clean things, pipes and syringes and all kinds of things, paraphernalia, and staff to be there, and all the things needed to test for fentanyl, which is a good thing because that's killing people without them even knowing it, that it's there. So that is very dangerous. I'm never going to talk trash about test strips for that, but it's just weird. Like you might as well go out and buy the person their next hit. I mean, really, that's what you're doing because you're not actually helping to cure what's wrong. And this guy right there, President Biden, his White House's drug czar, Dr. Rahul Gupta, told CNN in December he was interested in looking at the science and data behind all the emerging harm reduction practices. And again, we could save lives in it. That's a really good thing. Like, who the hell is going to argue that saving lives is a bad thing? Like, who the hell is actually going to go there? Like, I'm miserable. I'm never going to go and, say we should let everyone die. Like, that's not going to help anything either. So I appreciate human life. Like, I almost, never had anything to do with, drugs for me almost dying. It was a big old truck, but I was almost there, and death really isn't fun. I've lost a lot of people to it, so it sucks. But later in December, National Institute of Health, or the NIH, issued a call for harm reduction research that mentioned safe consumption sites among other approaches. And again, I think it's all nuts, especially as they're looking for stuff to do this. But federally, like, marijuana is still as high on the drug list, narcotic list as heroin. but they're giving these people clean syringes to do all that. But marijuana is still so far up on the list, even though you can't overdose on it. It's not near so they're helping people do this while keeping marijuana federally illegal and illegal in a lot of states still. Yeah, which really doesn't make a lick of sense at all. But again, I mean, it's coming from the White House run by, that guy, so it's a slippery slope with all of it. I just don't think it's the answer. It's just because again, like I said, you have to break so many people break so many laws just to get to the point where people are physically breaking laws. So people are giving them clean paraphernalia to break said laws and bring them back to life if they kill themselves doing it. While weed is still, again, on the same line as, heroin, but you could do this, but if you get caught with weed, it's so dumb and it doesn't actually help anything. It keeps people sick. Try to argue me that it doesn't keep people sick. I'm open for that actual argument. That's all it's doing. You're not helping people any other thing. You're just keeping people sick and making sure they don't die, but they're very close to death. And if they do die, you're there to save them from dying. On, the taxpayers dime, regardless if it was on the taxpayer's dime. We're printing it because we don't have any more taxpayer dollar dimes. We never will again with how much money we run up debt-wise. And they're going to continue at the rate they're going. It doesn't do anything, though. What the hell is the point of it? Not helping anyone. You're not doing anything good. You're not doing anything to actually help them. You're just keeping people sick, which I have a giant problem with. Sorry. A lot of people I've seen turning around. A lot of people I know that never got the chance to and are no longer with us. And, the people that aren't sick anymore that, overcame their addictions, they're still alive. And, they wouldn't have been if they stayed sick and didn't actually clean their act up, which is why I have such a problem with it. And I, again, do highly recommend watching Russell Brand and those two documentaries because they're really, really good. It just shows the insight on it all and how they do it in other countries. But really, I mean, I have a better theory behind it all to close out this whole, this rambling about this one thing. But why don't we take the money and, all these cities have abandoned buildings or something that aren't being used. They get cheap as dirt, but take them. You can clean them up and renovate them to give people in-house treatment facilities and counselors and therapists and all of that to get them off the streets and get them the actual help they need to deal with the underlying condition, because most drug users, there's something underlying, something eating at them, which is why they're doing it anyway. Most everyone always has, everyone's got their demons. Helping deal with those underlying demons is what's going to help them do it. And this gives them therapy, it gives them treatment in there, gives them a place to stay. And then you can open up a restaurant. I've seen it in some cities. Private people have done it, but open up a restaurant and stuff. You can have them work there to make a living and, give back to the community, learn the skills, and it could be self-sustaining after a certain amount of time. You can actually help them get back on their feet, have a roof over their head, have a job, have therapy there, counselors and everyone they'll ever need until they're actually ready to go back fully into the real world. And you can just keep, and there's abandoned buildings everywhere. I think that's a much better way of spending the money instead of just throwing it all, at this, just keep them sick, spend the money to actually get people over it. And if anyone to my face tells me that it's trivial because it doesn't affect me or my friends or anyone, it affects everybody. Drugs, I don't care who you are. If you say it doesn't affect you, you're just a narcissistic asswagon, because everyone knows someone that has. And the guy that told me it, I know, has many people he knows that have overdosed. And I remember how he was when they died. Guess what? It affects you. Doesn't matter if Everyone has been affected by it. Doesn't matter if you're there, what other people are affected by it. And your money is going to pay to keep enabling them to be sick and stay on drugs and have the problems. And I'm sorry, like, it's not trivial. You're just a self-centered ass, narcissistic pile of goo. Like, you just don't care about anyone besides yourself, because this is a real big problem. And enabling it, like, no matter what side you're on, you should see what they're giving them, like, places to do it so they don't die. So we're breaking a million laws. They're breaking a law in front of you. If they break the law, you're going to bring them back to life so they can go back out on the street, get more drugs, and come back and break the law again. Which, all of it is just a vicious circle. It doesn't actually cure anything. So if you're going to actually do it, throw money at something that can actually do something and be a double whammy. Get people on their feet, get them a roof, get them work experience, get them back going, get them clean, get them therapy to deal with the underlying stuff. Like, you can cure so many things just one of those things I mentioned, and there's abandoned buildings everywhere where they could do it. Or, it doesn't have to be a restaurant, it could be in anything, but, pay for themselves, and it could help a lot of people. But, that's not their, really big thing, which is sad. So, we'll see though. I don't know, but all I can say for all of this is, to wrap up this week and this, that guy, Alejandro Mayorkas, headed, Homeland Security, is now putting out these more memos about stupid stuff like this and us being terrorists for anything. Merrick Garland, we've seen what he's done, and he's moving forward on, possibly letting these things happen, even though they are actually against the law. So many laws have to be broken. No one cares. And crazy enough, that guy, Russell Brand, those documentaries, again, highly recommend them. From addict to recovery, from addiction to recovery, and the drug war. Like, there's some stuff in there. And again, really the key is just because of this topic, you get to see those facilities that I talk about. So you can see what they're doing in other countries and all of those things, and hear opinions from people all over the place. And just pay attention to it for that sake. Don't go in there like, oh, I'm going to love it, or I hate that guy. Like, just go in there, and just watch it, because it is really nuts. And these things, shouldn't be, happening. And I agree that, like, I was telling him when we were texting, arguing, like, it's just enabling it on your dime. Mister, it doesn't affect me. Like, you're paying for it, so go buy some of their next hit. Well, it's the same thing, and not something we should stand for. I'm sorry. Do something that'll actually fix them, not just keep them sick and make sure that, that they don't die. If they stay sick, if they die, you'll save them. So, like, which just keeps them even sicker. A lot of it, it's, I think it's bad. I think all of it's bad. And I think, again, if you find that trivial, you're kind of an ass. You're a piece of something, this, that, and the other thing. And I'm sorry, but think about someone besides yourself and use some logic, because that's not the answer. Not anywhere near the answer. It's not going to help anything. And that, apologize for going so long. It was a long one. Figured it was going to go a little long. I didn't think it was going to go that long. But again, that whole drug thing, like DHS calling us all terrorists, whatever. They've been doing that, for forever now, it seems. But that drug thing, so they're all saying isn't happening, even though I just got that from ABC News and CNN saying that, they're looking into it. It's a very good chance it's happening. And there's facilities doing it that are getting money. So they can deny it all they want. All the truth and facts are actually out there, and the buildings are actually there, and all of that. So, I just don't understand how they think that's going to fix, anything. And it's a subject that's personal. So again, sorry for going so long, but that I am going to jump off here. Finally, I'm going to shut up. Don't forget to, follow along on the platforms. If you want to see the video, it's Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, Cloud Hub. The links are also on Right Only, Getter, and Parlor occasionally, and MeWe, just because it's a different platform. There's all kinds of different stuff to pay attention to on there, but the video links are all there. Audio is on, obviously, Anchor, Stitcher, Radio Public, Pocket Casts, Amazon Podcasts, TuneIn, Apple and Google Podcasts, Spotify. Usually that Apple podcast is my favorite, but because I have an Apple, but it's on all of those. So please, share them out to your people when you listen to this. It only takes a couple seconds. It helps me out. Follow along again on Facebook, Yeah, if you want to see the episodes there, they do go every Tuesday and Friday, regardless of if you get notified or not. They are there normally by about 3 o'clock. So, by the time you're home, follow along on, Apple Podcasts or anything, it should notify you. And if it doesn't, still every Tuesday and Friday, if it doesn't tell you, I did one. So please share it out, get more, eyes and ears on everything. It has to keep growing. Follow the link I shared to the Facebook page, or go to Anchor if you'd like to set monthly support, because I finally needed to keep, finish off trademarks and all kinds of things to make this sustaining, because inflation sucks and I can't pay for it on my own. So the support from y'all to go towards the show and getting everything done and continue growing it. One day merchandise and all that, that's all it goes to. It's not coming to me. It's just to help pay for the show and improve it. So that'd be appreciated. And enjoy your weekend. Be good to each other. Don't let idiots bring you down. And until next week, my friends, peace.